Welcome to a shorter than usual episode of Intentionality with Paul Kemp. Shorter, yes, but certainly not less important or less impactful. In fact, I have a strong suspicion this episode will encourage more profound thought, wonder and reflection on your life and its meaning than many other podcasts you have heard this year. Intentionality with Paul Kemp, for people who lead with intention and live with impact. All right, let's get started. Today's topic: life is hard. We hear it often. We think it often. Some of us even say it often. We might sometimes say life is hard when you consider just living in our country, South Africa, or in any other challenging nations globally. We repeatedly tell ourselves and anyone willing to listen that business is hard, jobs are hard, relationships are hard. Sometimes it feels as though every aspect of our lives is difficult, as if everything constantly goes wrong for us. About 2 years ago, I dedicated episode 10 of IWPK to the topics of delayed gratification and sacrifice. I concluded that discussion by sharing one of my favorite pieces of writing, a powerful poem by Devin Bow on how hard life is and how important our choices are. The poem ends with the words, "Life is not easy. It will always have hard in it, but we can choose our hard. Pick wisely." Today, I want to challenge this thinking. The thinking of the author in this poem, but also my own thinking at the time of recording that episode. And hopefully also your thinking, your perspective around your life. I want to challenge the general notion that life is inherently hard. I believe this perspective, this way of thinking is flawed. And I want to propose a different idea today. Maybe a very controversial and potentially unpopular idea. Are you ready for it? I firmly believe life is actually easy. Now, hold on. Please do not dismiss this episode. Do not stop listening. Do not think I'm being ridiculous and tune out because you disagree. Hear me out and give me the opportunity to explain why I believe this. And then make your own decision whether you think I'm right or wrong. First, let me be clear about something. I'm not saying life is easy for everybody, and it is certainly not easy all of the time. Some of you might genuinely be navigating a tough period in your life right now. Perhaps you've experienced serious trauma or significant setbacks recently. Maybe you've faced a persistent string of bad luck. Perhaps you genuinely had a hard life for a long time, and you are just so weary of it. I'm not refuting your experiences, nor am I attempting to convince you that life is easy, when you have legitimate reasons to believe it is hard. However, I am certainly speaking from the perspective of my own life becoming easier over the years, for some very specific reasons. And I'm discussing my belief that in general, for most people, and for at least most of the time, life can be easy. Here are my 4 arguments for this belief, centered around the power of intentional living. Argument number 1. Let's use happiness as a proxy for life being hard or easy. There is specific research that was done that concluded that people in general are happy about 33% of the time, neutral about 33% of the time, and unhappy about 33% of the time. While this may be a useful base case for happiness, other research suggests a more optimistic baseline for overall well-being. For example, a 2024 Ipsos Global Happiness Survey across 30 countries found that 71% of adults describe themselves as very or rather happy. While this percentage fluctuates over time and across regions, for example, South Africa shows a lower level of overall happiness, it does suggest that for a significant majority, life is not predominantly unhappy. So it begs the question, is life really hard for most people, most of the time? Or do we simply just say it far too easily and far too often? And if your personal experience deviates significantly from this, if you find yourself unhappy considerably more than the averages, it is important to note that it indicates an area in your life that requires intentional focus and adjustment. It requires fixing something in your life. And we will get to the fixing part shortly. Argument number 2. Are we not perhaps making life harder for ourselves than it needs to be? And how do we do this? By the choices we make in all aspects of our lives. I am convinced we inadvertently make life harder than it needs to be because of our choices. Remember the poem? The poet, I believe, did get something right, captured a crucial truth. It's about the choices we make. Our choices, right choices, wrong choices, wise choices, stupid choices, easy choices, hard choices, that we make every day ultimately determine how hard or easy our lives are. I believe this with all my heart. Living intentionally means making these choices with purpose rather than defaulting to reactive patterns. Research shows that proactive decision-making fosters a greater belief in one's abilities and increases satisfaction with one's decisions and with life more generally. If, however, you feel you do not have a choice in some of the more difficult and challenging aspects of your life, then that means there is something that needs fixing in your life. And we will get to the fixing part shortly. Argument number 3. If there are hard times in your life or aspects that currently feel hard, would you agree that change is necessary? Something will need to shift for you to move from hard to easy. I recently encountered a profound observation about change that is highly relevant for this discussion. All change is hard at first, messy in the middle, and gorgeous at the end. How powerful is that? I want to repeat it to make sure you get it. All change is hard at first, messy in the middle, and gorgeous at the end. If we believe our lives are hard at the moment or have been hard for some time, it means we need to intentionally change something. Remember, doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting different results is often cited as the definition of insanity. So if we are intentionally changing something in our lives to move from hard to easy, and this process transitions from hard to messy to gorgeous, does it not follow that our lives should reflect these stages? Perhaps it is a pattern or cycle that repeats, or different seasons in our lives. What I know with absolute conviction is this: if you are not experiencing the easy, the gorgeous part of life, at least some of the time, if everything feels hard constantly, then you are likely doing something wrong, maybe unintentionally, and that signifies a need for fixing something in your life. And we will get to the fixing part shortly. Argument number 4. Before we do finally get to the fixing part, as part of this shift from a hard life to an easy life, I want you to initiate the critical process of introspection and self-awareness. This in itself is a vital component of the fixing process. If your life feels hard at the moment, it's time to get serious and honest with yourself about why it is hard or feels hard. Simon Sinek famously encouraged us to start with why. While initially applied to business, I believe this quest for why is profoundly appropriate for the journey from a hard to an easy life. You need to figure out why your life is so hard. Why do things feel so difficult so much of the time? Why do your best efforts not yet result in an easier life? Perhaps the answer could be hidden in your purpose. Why are you alive? Why are you working so hard? Why are you so anxious? Why are you doing so many things that make your life hard? Is it because you have the wrong goals? Or maybe no goals at all? Is it because you are so driven to succeed that you've lost all balance? Is your definition of success maybe misaligned with your true self? Or do you constantly move the goalposts for your life? I have no idea what your specific reasons are for your life feeling hard. That is for you to figure out. But before you attempt to fix anything, you must first intentionally understand your why. Now, I am ready to share the fixing part with you. This is not something I've read or heard elsewhere. It is something I've derived from my own life experience and many hard lessons on a journey that started hard, became messy, and is now gorgeous. It all starts with intentionality. Yes, I know that's the name of the show, and it might sound a bit cliche, but I'm very serious about this. You need to intentionally figure out your why, and then you need to understand why your life is hard, or why you believe it to be hard. Then you need to apply the F.A.E. formula to everything in your life that you have determined is hard or is contributing to a hard life. The F.A.E. formula is not something you can Google or ask an AI tool, or at least not yet, because it's something I recently developed. Maybe developed is a strong word. Let's just say I thought of it, and I'm convinced I'm not the first. F.A.E. stands for fix it, accept it, or exit it. It really is that simple. Every problem, every challenge, every issue with every aspect of your life that feels hard can be approached with this formula. I've not yet found an example where F.A.E. cannot be applied, and I challenge you to find an issue in your life that this formula can be applied to and to then tell me about it. To illustrate, let's use a simple example, which is a fairly common example as well. Your relationship with your spouse. If you believe relationships are hard, especially your marriage, find a fix. Read a book, go to couples counseling, communicate openly. Find a compromise, seek solutions that will mend the relationship, make things better, make things easier. There are almost always solutions and options when approached intentionally and where both parties are willing. Sometimes, however, there are problems in a relationship that simply cannot be overcome, no matter how hard you try to fix them. Then you are left with two choices. The accepted option comes with a very important caveat. True acceptance does not harbor grudges, does not create resentment, and crucially, does not generate anxiety or unhappiness. It is a genuine, unconditional acceptance of the things that you cannot change that I'm referring to here. Unfortunately, sometimes both these options are simply not possible. If there's not a fix, and if true acceptance is not possible for you in a specific relationship, then you need to exit it. You need to end the relationship. I firmly believe this formula can be applied to every hard aspect of your life. I challenge you to let me know if you believe there is an aspect of your life where F.A.E. cannot be applied. Just two last ideas about F.A.E. First, there is a crucial element that, if ignored, could render the formula ineffective. It's called sacrifice. It is essential to understand that whichever of the three F.A.E. options you choose, each one requires a sacrifice, sometimes enormous and traumatic sacrifice. But if your life is currently hard, and especially if it has been hard for some time now, isn't it time to start making some sacrifices to reach the easier part of your life? The ultimate question truly is, what are you prepared to sacrifice to move your life from hard to easy? This is where intentionality meets courage. Second, the moment you are convinced exiting is the only viable option left to you to fix your hard life and give you at least a chance of having an easier life, do it. However, be exceptionally careful with the exit option. It is most often the solution that should only be applied when you've literally exhausted all other options, because it's the one that potentially can cause the most trauma and require the most sacrifice. If you find yourself exiting things and people regularly and quickly, it might be that you simply have a low tolerance for being unhappy, which is a good thing. But when exiting happens regularly and frequently in combination with a hard life and unhappiness most of the time, it might just be that you are running away from something, never having the courage to commit to people and things. Exiting too easily if and when the other options are still on the table. This is where the true introspection and self-awareness I spoke about in the previous episode of IWPK on emotional intelligence is so important, where emotional maturity plays such a big role in determining what solution is best for you to get to the easy life. If exiting happens too frequently, perhaps the introspection needed to understand what is truly happening, why life is so hard for you, should focus more on what you might be doing unintentionally and what your blind spots are. If you are someone who exits often, try to find someone who can help you work through it. Truly analyze why this pattern recurs, and then rather attempt the fix-it part of the F.A.E. formula. This intentional self-assessment, perhaps with the help of a coach or therapist, is a proactive step towards lasting ease. Yes, it might not be comfortable or easy, and yes, it might require a different type of sacrifice. But remember, you can never truly run away from yourself. Statistics indicate that approximately 3/4 of you listening to this episode today are not yet subscribed to the channel and do not follow us on all platforms. If you have ever enjoyed our content or found value in anything I've shared, I would be grateful if you could hit the subscribe button. It significantly boosts the channel, enabling us to attract even better guests and amplify our impact. By doing so, you would be playing a small yet crucial part in creating a more intentional world. That's all I have for you this week. All that's left is my tip of the week, and it is a good one, very relevant to today's topic. I recommend you listen to a Mel Robbins podcast titled 8 Things to Tell Yourself Every Morning. I listen to Mel's podcast often. I truly enjoy it, and I've recommended it before on this show. But this specific episode struck me as particularly powerful. 3 aspects of my life that I'm intentionally trying to improve at the moment are positive self-talk, giving myself a break, and practicing gratitude. In this episode, Mel recommends intentional affirmations you should tell yourself every morning. And it helped me enormously in getting better at these 3 aspects of my life. And I believe it will help you as well. So go and listen, apply it intentionally in your life, and give it time to start working. At the end of the previous episode of IWPK, the one about emotional intelligence, I did a competition/giveaway. I'm going to keep this competition open for longer, so if you still want to enter, send me an email at paul@iwpk.co.za. And if you have not yet listened to that episode, please go and listen to it. Thank you for choosing to listen to this podcast, to this episode. Thank you for your support and engagement, and have an amazing, intentional week. You've been listening to Intentionality, where we grow together. Please like, subscribe, and leave us a rating. And if this helped you today, share it with someone else on the same journey. Until next time, keep showing up with intention.